Hello and good afternoon. We are going to be discussing the data overview for Manning Oaks Elementary. Specifically, we are going to be focusing on the English Language Arts data for English language learners in 3rd through 5th grade. My name is Ashton Powell, and I am an ESOL teacher in 3rd and 4th grade at Manning Oaks Elementary. I will be leading this presentation today. The purpose of this presentation is to review the demographic data at Manning Oaks Elementary for the past 3 years. Additionally, we will review the English Language Arts results of the Georgia Milestones for students in grades 3rd through 5th who participate in the English Speakers of Other Languages program over the past 3 years. Finally, we will identify subdomain areas of the English Language Arts domain of the Georgia Milestones to plan for targeted just-in-time direct instruction for the English language learners at Manning Oaks Elementary. Now we will consider some questions that will help us guide our thinking as we examine the data. First, why is there a lack of English language learners scoring in the Proficient and Distinguished Learners levels of the Georgia Milestones? What are current strengths and weaknesses for our English language learners? What enrollment data trends may contribute to the English language arts results? What improvement needs to be made in the English language arts curriculum? What strategies are English speakers of other languages teachers using in instruction to make positive gains? And how can this data be used to guide instruction and targeted just-in-time direct instruction? Let's begin by examining the performance of Manning Oaks Elementary's 3rd through 5th grade students compared to Fulton County and Georgia for the 2019 Georgia Milestones. Manning Oaks is quite comparable to the performance of Fulton County and Georgia, but is most similar to Fulton County's data. Manning Oaks has a smaller percentage of students in the beginning learners level at 16.9% compared to Fulton County and Georgia at 19.7% and 22.3%. The percentage of students who scored in the developing learners category at Manning Oaks is larger than Fulton County and Georgia, with 33.2% of students. Now, let's focus on the performance of 3rd through 5th graders on the English Language Arts test of the Georgia Milestones. The years represented in this graph span from 2016 to 2019, since the Georgia Milestones did not occur in the 2019-2020 school year. As you can see, 2017 to 2018 boasts the largest percentage of students in the Proficient Learners category at 36%, but the smallest percentage of students in the Distinguished Learners category at 12.7%. This could be due to the change in administration that occurred in the winter of 2017. In 2018-2019, the school had the majority of the students in the Developing and the Proficient Learners categories. This is where we would expect most of our students to land. The English Language Arts section of the Georgia Milestones represents two major domains of reading and vocabulary and writing and language. Reading and vocabulary encompass 57% of the test, while writing and language accounts for 43%. This is for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade for the 2019 test. The subdomain presence in the overall domains of reading and vocabulary and writing and language tells us the weight of each of the structures. The subdomains present are key ideas and detail for 30%, craft and structure for 13%, vocabulary acquisition and use for 10%, writing for 27%, and language for 20%. Again, this is for grades 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the English Language Arts test of the 2019 Georgia Milestones. ESOL and ELA teachers alike should be looking to target instruction on key idea and details and writing, since these two domains account for close to 60% of the overall test. Over the past 3 years, English language learners at Manning Oaks Elementary have increased in the number of students scoring in the beginning learners levels, as you can see here. The number jumped dramatically from 22.8% in 2016 to 2017 to 43.1% in 2017 to 2018, and then down slightly to 42.2% in 2018-2019. This is over a 20% increase in just a matter of a year. This could be due to the curriculum switch for reading and writing to Lucy Calkins units of study. We will need to investigate what support and strategies our English language learners are receiving and how to adjust these to decrease the number of students scoring in the beginning and developing learners' levels. Comparatively, students who are not limited English proficient only account for 10.6% of the beginning learners at Manning Oaks Elementary. The largest percentage can be seen in the proficient learners level, which hosts 34.2% of students who are not limited English proficient, compared to students who are limited English proficient, who are 42.2% in the beginning learners category and only 16.9% in the proficient learners category. Now, let's get a big picture of the students at Manning Oaks Elementary by looking at the student demographics data to continue our hypothesis of the lack of English language learners scoring at the proficient and distinguished learners levels. This graph displays the data for the race and ethnicities that the students at Manning Oaks Elementary represent. Manning Oaks students represent 50 countries and 37 languages, so it is a very diverse student body. As you can see, the graph accounts for student demographics from 2017 to 2018, 2018 to 2019, and 2019 to 2020. The race with the highest percentage in 2019 to 2020, which is the gray color, is the Asian and Pacific Islander category at 31.5%. This percentage is rising year after year because it started at 30%, went to 29.9%, and then jumped to 31.5%. Black, Hispanic, American Indian, Alaska Native, and multiracial seem to be very consistent percentages over the 3 years. However, the percentage of white students is decreasing from 24% in 2017 to 21.7% in 2019. This could be due to the increase of immigrant families to Manning Oaks each year that identify as another race ethnicity other than white. The large influx of newcomers could be a possible reason why more English language learners score in the beginner's level for the 2018, 2019, and 2019-2020 Georgia Milestones. Taking a different look at the student demographic data, we will examine the other subgroups. The subgroups included in the data are English language learners, also seen as limited English proficient on other graphs, students with disabilities, and students eligible for free reduced lunch. The percentage of English language learners enrolled at Manning Oaks Elementary increases from year to year, going from 34% in 2017 to 38.5% in 2019-2020. This rise in students identified as English language learners and teachers possibly not being trained in best practices for English language learners could be affecting the percentage of students scoring in the beginning learners level. The number of students identified as students with disabilities and eligible for free and reduced lunch remains consistent percentages year to year, hovering around 7. There is a little spike in 2019-2020 with 9.6%, but free and reduced lunch is around 30-31% year after year. Now let's take a glance at the demographics data by gender. The percentage of male and female is 50% in 2017 and then changes to 51% female and 49% male for the 2018-2019 and 2019-2020 school years. Here we can see the attendance data for English language learners, also known as limited English proficient students. The number of students absent at school for 5 or fewer days increased from 48.5% in 2017 to 53% in 2019. The number of students absent at school between 6 and 15 days increased from 44.5% to 47.3%, and then began to decrease to 41.7%. Additionally, the number of students absent more than 15 days has decreased from 7% to 5.3%. This is an encouraging sign that these students are decreasing the number of days that they are absent and increasing the number of days present at school. As we continue to examine the data, we can see that the vast majority of teachers at Manning Oaks Elementary are white. In 2019-2020, 84.7% of teachers are white, while only 21.7% of students in Manning Oaks are white. We must consider how the lack of diversity in the staff at Manning Oaks Elementary contributes to the low level of English language learners that demonstrate proficiency in English language arts, and what it could do for these students if they saw diverse representation in their teachers. Additionally, we must consider if instruction is culturally responsive to the diverse student population. After reviewing the data, strengths observed can be seen in the similar performance of students on the English language arts domain at Manning Oaks Elementary compared to the district and state in 2019 and 2020. Also, there is consistent attendance of English language learners being present at school for the majority of 5 or fewer days. This will support their learning of the English language and skills with repeated exposure day after day. There is a consistent enrollment of the total number of students over the last 3 years from 939 to 875 and back up to 984, which helps keep teachers at Manning Oaks and provides opportunities for new hires. Finally, we observed increases in number of students at the proficient learner level on the 2019 Georgia Milestones school-wide. This is encouraging to see this number increase from 2018 since the curriculum adjustment for reading and writing. On the other hand, there are weaknesses apparent from the data too. There is limited diversity among the staff at Manning Oaks Elementary. This is not reflective of the student population. Furthermore, there is an increasing percentage of limited English proficient students scoring in the beginner and developing learners levels on the English language arts domain on the Georgia Milestones from 2017 to 2019, with a dramatic increase of over 20%. Also, there is a decreasing or sometimes non-existent percentage of limited English proficient students scoring in the proficient learners level on the English language arts domain of the Georgia Milestones. The distinguished learners level. Now that we have examined the data in its relation to the English language learners' performance on the English language arts section of the Georgia Milestones, we can ask ourselves some discussion questions. First, how can we increase understanding and awareness of diversity and best practices among our staff? How can the ESOL department use formative and summative assessments on the subdomain skills to improve test results? How can we decrease the number of beginning and developing learners on the English language arts section of the Georgia Milestones? Not just English language learners, but school-wide as well. Finally, what strategies can support targeted just-in-time direct instruction on the various subdomains? After you have discussed these questions with your PLC, or professional learning communities, we will work on developing next steps for the ESOL department and the general education English language arts teachers. This will be in the form of an action plan that identifies a learning goal and addresses the strengths and weaknesses discussed on the previous slides. Together, we will explore research-based strategies to best implement just-in-time direct instruction for English language arts, specifically the key ideas and details in writing subdomains. Then, we will advocate the need for culturally responsive teaching to support the various cultural identities of our students. Also, teachers will discuss the formative and summative assessment data frequently to monitor progress toward mastery of the subdomains. Conclusively, you can communicate with me any questions, concerns, or needs in relation to the data, discussion questions, or next steps. I will be happy to help or guide you in your thinking. Thank you for your participation in this presentation.